Hello there, I'm Nikita and this is Hakoir Games channel. In this video I will talk about how game designers work and introduce the basic concept of game design. Let me clarify upfront, I won't go into detail about each concept or explain how to implement them well, but I will provide examples. My goal is to share these concepts with you and we will talk about how to use them in the next videos. Let's dive in. There is a common misconception that game designers create games. That's not entirely true. The primary responsibility of a game designer is to create a design document. I don't mean to downplay the role of game designers in the industry, but it's important to understand. When you work in a team, you are not a solo creator bringing your ideas to life. You are part of a team, working on tasks like describing mechanics, balancing, setting up game configs, talking to colleagues, and more. This kind of work makes up about 80% of your day. In big teams with many layers, game designers might not even come up with ideas for new features. Instead, they create design documents based on concept written by producers. A game designer acts as a bridge between the idea and its execution. They collaborate with artists to visualize the game world, programmers to implement mechanics, and marketers to understand the target audience. I'd like to start by talking about what a game is, but the more I think about it, the harder it is to give a clear definition. So let's keep it simple. A game is an activity people engage in for fun or experience. Next, it makes sense to talk about what fun is and where it comes from. It's an interesting question, and here is the important part. Everyone has their own idea of fun. Some find fun in overcoming challenges, others in thrill of competition, a gripping story, or in peace and lack of pressure a game can provide. Many PC and console gamers criticize mobile games, seeing them as just cash grabs. I'm not here to defend the mobile industry, there is some truth to that criticism. However, a game designer needs to understand that mobile, PC, PlayStation and Nintendo target different audiences. The Witcher 3 fans might dismiss Candy Crush Saga, while Candy Crush fan might not find The Witcher 3 interesting at all. As a game designer, you keep in mind that both are free to enjoy what they like. It's okay to have different tastes. A GDD is a document that describes every aspect of a game. It ensures everyone on the team shares the same vision for the project. There are several types of GDDs, which I will explain in future videos. For now, let's look at the most common one, a feature GDD. This is a feature GDD from the game I'm currently working on for myself, Cozy Squares. It describes the puzzle assembly screen. The first section covers the concept, what the mechanic is and why it's needed. Next is the logic section, which includes a detailed description of how it works. I often add a pseudocode here, which I later convert into real code in the editor, but that's optional. It's worth nothing that GDD formats can vary a lot between companies. Other sections include art, mockups, sketches, and eventually finalized assets. Now let's move to the most interesting part. Game loop. When we work on a game idea, the first thing we usually think about is the game loop, the series of action the player will keep doing during the game. Think about player progress not as a straight line from point A to point B, but as a circle with points marking the actions player repeat. For example, in Dark Souls the loop might look like this. Explore a new area, find a boss, defeat the boss, and move to the next area. This is of course a simplified cycle to make the idea easier to understand. In reality, game loops can be much bigger and more complex, like in the example. Core gameplay. Core gameplay refers to the physical actions players take. In shooters, it's shooting, in slashers, it's fighting monsters, in farming games, it's planting wheat. Most of the time, when people talk about gameplay, they mean core gameplay, because it's what you can directly see and feel. For example, in Dark Souls, my favorite game series by the way, core gameplay includes walking, attacking, dodging, and countering. Some games rely entirely on core gameplay, and players love them. If you can create juicy and addictive core gameplay, you will always find a job as a game designer. It's that important. But if you want your game to be played for decades, you will need to focus on the next concept. Meta gameplay is what happens in the player's mind. It's what brings depth to the game. When we play, we are not just pressing buttons, we are always thinking about how to play better. That's part of meta gameplay. Let's take Dark Souls as an example. Its meta gameplay involves creating builds, figuring out how to find different enemies, and deciding where to go next. Feeling. Feeling is an abstract concept that overlaps with both core and meta gameplay. It's the feeling or experience a game conveys. An example of a perfect feeling for me is a Celeste. In the game, you play as a girl climbing a mountain. It's tough for her, and she constantly doubts herself. At the same time, the game itself is very challenging, and the player can fully relate to her struggles. What I found the coolest about it is that this game is about climbing, and the intense gameplay actually made my fingers hurt after playing, as if I had climbed the mountain myself. The best recreation of an experience I've ever felt in a game. Balance. Balance ensures all game elements work in harmony, creating an engaging and fair experience. An example of balance is the rooms before a boss fight, where players can stock up on health and ammo to make the battle fair. Developers understand that the boss is meant to be a challenge, and the player might arrive empty-handed, so they balance the encounter by providing everything the player needs. It's important to emphasize that perfect balance is about creating an engaging experience. If your game has a lot of swords, you don't need to make all of them equally powerful. The game designer's job is to make it fun for players to experiment and search for the perfect sword. That's it for today. I hope you find this video interesting and learn something new. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bonus for those who watched until the end. Here are some books worth reading when starting your journey. On Writing Well. A book about clear and effective writing. Since game designers write a lot of documentation, it's crucial to communicate ideas in a way that's easy to read and understand. This book provides a solid foundation for doing just that. The Design of Everyday Things. An amazing book about how to make everything user-friendly. Games are made for players, so it's essential to design them in a way that's enjoyable and easy to play. Don't Make Me Think. A book about UX design. It's incredibly useful for understanding how to create intuitive and user-friendly interfaces. And the gem of our list, this is easily the best book on game design I've ever read. I've read many books on the subject, and the most of them feel like they were written by people who've never made a game in their lives. You don't get that feeling here. The author created RimWorld, Designing Games, a Guide to Engineer Experiences by Tynan Sylvester. That's it for now. Thank you for watching, leave a comment, give a like, and I will see you in the next videos. Bye!